Welcome back to another episode of a Gamers Mic podcast, and here with me I have my boy yBobby back on it again. How's it going, man?
What's going on?
So we just had a weekend. Uh, we just went to HCS Raleigh, and we didn't compete, even though we'll talk about that a little bit later. We possibly might later, not me, someone else. But yeah, man. Let's talk about this because there's a lot of stuff to process, I would say, at HCS Raleigh. So I guess we can go by just like the first day, man. Like, what were your thoughts on the first day of just like us showing up?
Yeah, it was my first event ever for any type of gaming event, and so this being my first as the one that everybody said is going to be like the Halo is back tournament and take us back to the MLG 08,
Yep.
09, 2010, and 2011 days. This knocked it out of the park. It was incredible. It was super last minute decision to try and scavenge some tickets to get there, but super glad we did and made it happen. Once we were there, it was definitely an
Yeah.
experience. Something that anybody, if you've ever followed any type of esports scene, any professional gaming scene at all, if there's ever a HCS tournament around your area or one that you're able to attend, it's definitely worth going to. Just to, even if you don't follow Halo, just pro gaming, this event was incredible.
It really was. Like, so we first walked in, and at first, the outside, it looked kind of like, I don't know if this is going to be
It
lit.
was
Like,
dead.
it was rainy, no one was outside, there was
Dude,
no like signs around.
I
So,
thought we
so
were going to someone's bedroom LAN party or
It was
something.
so weird. So it was in the convention center in Raleigh, and so it took us a while. We once we got in, we were in, but as soon as we walked in and saw the whole layout, I think both of our, uh, what we thought was going to happen just finally changed and flipped a switch in our head, being like, "Oh snap, this is it!" Like this, it was amazing setup. I mean, they had walking entertainment, like walking Spartans around, like literally freaking Spartans that you
Spartans
could
too.
take pictures with. You had vehicles that was parked in there. Obviously, they had some concessions, and then they had I forgot how many it was. Maybe you can remember how many setups they had of just for the free for all tournament, and also just
Open bracket.
the side bracket going on.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it, yeah, go ahead.
Tons of setups. I mean, I think there was like, fi- I want to say 30 or 50
I think it
sets
was
of four. It was either
yeah.
30 or 50, one of
I think
those
it was
numbers.
30. I think it
Okay,
was
there
30.
was 34 station setups for the open bracket, free for all tournament, things like that. They had three featured stations, which were like little for the big games, and then obviously the main stage. And the main stage was unbelievable. The main
Oh man.
stage was it was super dope. The huge screens, the lights, the smoke machines, all that. It was awesome. But the entire venue was like you said. We arrived. It was rainy,
Spectacular.
cold. Nobody's outside. I was first event and one to this magnitude. I was expecting to pull up and see like people in like in jerseys, Halo
Right.
jerseys or something like that. We pull up and it is we didn't see a single soul. And so
Nobody.
getting inside, it was yeah, it opened up. Everybody was inside and it was super cool.
Yeah, once we got in, I think everyone was on the same vibe too, because like we were walking around, just meeting people, seeing people that I knew from Twitch and stuff. I got to meet Dill, TV there live in person. He said that was the first person he's ever like met off of streaming, which was really cool. I'm glad I was the number one for him on that. And then obviously bumping into we had Zarners and a bunch of other friends that also went to that event and actually competed. So even if you want to go and you're like, I don't want to just go and watch Halo, even though I do recommend, because you can just sit back, relax, and seriously just learn, watch, and enjoy your favorite teams compete. But I mean, you can compete in these. So you could go into free for all tournaments. And also, I mean, there's an open bracket. So you can actually compete. And if you can work your way up through that open bracket, you could compete somehow on main stage possibly if your team is that good. So I think that's really cool how, they give you that opportunity to do that.
To hit on that a little bit
Go
more,
ahead.
that sparked a huge conversation over the weekend from the Call of Duty world. Because right now, Call
Yeah.
of Duty, you have the pro scene, you have the AM scene, which is like their Challengers League or whatever, and then everybody below that is just trying to get their foot in the door. And in
Yeah.
Call of Duty right now, the only way to really get your foot in the door is just by knowing somebody showing out in a random tournament or
A
something like
bunch of
that. I mean,
scrims.
it's very political and network based
Yeah.
versus Halo. If you and your three buddies think you're the best in the world and nobody's ever seen or heard of you, you pull up to the event and you can compete. It's the open bracket is awesome. All the Call of Duty scene is jealous of it, and I understand why. It allows for open doors for anybody, which is cool.
I think the best way to, I mean, there's definitely a lot of words that, I could explain this past weekend at HCS Raleigh, but one of them, we've been saying it so far, the first 6 minutes of this podcast is open. I really want to like key in on that word because you had pros just walking around, meeting people, taking pictures. Like it was seriously like it was just so open. Everybody was open. Everybody was willing to take
Yeah.
pictures.
The,
Everyone was cool. I don't think we had one experience where there was just like, oh, come on, this guy. But no, there was nobody. You could seriously walk to the front row. There's no assigned seats. You could be front row at these major events, and and everyone's thumbs up with it. I mean, we had Hex 10 feet away from us watching Optic. I mean, you can't get better than
I
any of that.
watched
All this
one guy.
nostalgia.
I watched one guy while Optic was competing on main stage. They walked on main stage and were setting up, and a fan literally walks up behind main stage, like yells at Pistola and knuckle bumps him, like while he's on main stage. So like you talking about how open everything is, that is a good word.
Yeah.
The event itself was open. The people there were open to anything. Nobody was, yeah, no negative vibes at all. Whenever I've explained it to friends who don't understand esports or have played video games but just never taken it seriously, I always tell them that this weekend was like going to a NFL game or MLB game, something like that, with an all-access pass. It was
Right.
like going for us. We live in Charlotte, so going to a Carolina Panthers game and having a pass that lets us walk around the sideline while they're playing a game.
For two
I
days
mean,
straight, or
It's
technically three if we showed up Friday.
I mean, there's no, yes, the pros did have their hideaway where they could warm
Yeah.
up and things like that, but outside of their little warm up area that you couldn't go to, I mean, these guys are just walking around, esports legends in the scene, yeah, which is a whole nother conversation of what was cool about this event. You had guys showing up there, Walshy, one of the Halo goats, Hex, the owner of Optic Gaming,
Puckett of
Chris
casting for
Puckett,
myself.
yeah,
Oh
Chris
my gosh.
Puckett, probably the most legendary caster, esports caster, and he even casted a game with
That was
Walshy,
awesome.
which was just the nostalgia of this weekend was unbelievable.
Yeah.
People like Ogre 2 from Final Boss back in the day, and even like the new age guys like the Sentinels team, Frosty, Lethal, Snakebite, all them walking around. It was just one for the books for sure.
Yeah, and one thing I'll add on to, even about just like going like I said, I ran into Dill, who's a streamer on Twitch as well, but he was actually working at the event, so you can get your foot in the door also and work these events if you're trying to just like be with the community, meet up with people. You can work, they give you jobs that you could do the ticket booth, you could do information desk. I'm sure you can get in other ways, but also fellow casters out there, I've heard that you could even, start out slow and eventually get invited into that kind of event. And, you might not be casting main stage, obviously, alongside of Walshies just yet, but there were still other side stages that you could be doing that. So there's a lot of opportunities, not just by playing and being a player, but, for the casters or social media, other experts being there. So, shout out to, just having, like I said, the word open. It's just open, and I really like that. But yeah, Call of Duty, definitely. We saw some pros streaming, actually, Halo, about the watch party. They were all talking about how they love this. They're listening. Like, Halo is actually listening to the community. And instead of how Call of Duty is just kind of like trying to make a quick buck. This Halo game is free. You can play this game free. So it's one of those things that's all access. It's all open to everybody. So it's really cool on that. But hey, let's get a little bit more in depth. What was your favorite part about this weekend or this past weekend, man? Because, I have a lot in my head, and there's one that sticks out to me, but I want to see if it matches what you have to say.
I'm gonna have a biased favorite part, but I have two favorite parts. You can't tell me I can only have one because that's just
okay. All right, top three.
The two favorite parts are, one is the biased. I have followed Optic Gaming since the freaking creation of that esports org and have followed them from the very beginning. So this is my first time ever being around anybody in the scene or anybody in the org. So seeing all the Optic Gaming guys, I was just kind of starstruck. And we were both able to squeak in a picture with Hex. And that was by far just like what made my weekend. That was like the icing on the cake. That's something that I'll keep that picture forever. That's something for sure. But as far as actual favorite moment related to the event, anytime Optic was on main stage, it was always hype. When Optic's on main stage, the whole venue's going crazy.
Whole nother level.
But there was a specific time when Optic was playing Sentinels. It was an oddball live fire game, and Sentinels had it was a back and forth game the whole time. I think it was the third round of oddball, and this was game 4. So if Optic lost this game, they were out of the tournament. And Sentinels had 99 points. They got a stop, and Optic ended up coming back and winning the game 100-99. And it was just the event or the venue just exploded. I mean, we were both jumping up and down. Dude. The whole venue just was going bonkers.
I wish it had our reaction, but we were high-fiving, like standing up. Like I've never been that hype. Even sporting events. I get hype, but I think that moment right there, like, I think everyone in the building knew what the stakes were in that game. So whenever we saw that happen, I think it was just unreal. Like, it was just one of those moments. But yeah, I agree. I agree with that for the end game. That was definitely the best moment in my opinion as well. And then obviously just meeting Hex is, not many people can say that. So, I tweeted out a picture and someone's like, man, I have a picture with someone else, but Hex is definitely on my list and, definitely on ours for sure. And, we actually got in his vlog. You actually told me that we made it in his vlog. It's only for like a second or two, but hey, it's there and it will always be there. So I'm really hyped that we got that for sure.
There's so many good moments, though. I mean, that's just the first two that come to my head.
Yeah.
But I mean, there were so many moments of that event that were just insane. I mean, the Puckett and Walshy casting the Cloud9 Optic game. I think that was quarterfinals of the winners bracket.
I think so.
And Walshy and Puckett come on and cast it, and it ended up going to game 5. It was super intense. Lots of, like I said, yelling, jumping up and down, and just to have Chris Puckett and Walshy. The two Halo goats sitting there casting it. I mean, it was just so many different things.
Don't forget the big team battle. Me and you both were kind of putting it off. We can't not talk about this. Me and you both were just kind of like, it's a big team battle. Let's go over to let's see who's competing in the losers bracket. Let's just let's go find Sentinels right now. and we were looking around and then we saw Hex go to the stage. We're like, oh, he's playing. Let's get back over there. And then we saw Puckett. He's playing. Like it. That was the most hype part I think about Saturday. Besides that crazy 1 second play or of the oddball 1 point game. But
Yeah,
other than that big team battle was lit.
the big team was amazing. To preface it, we got there Saturday morning. We didn't even really talk about what we did at the event. You started off asking me about the beginning, but we kind of just went all over the place.
We got too excited.
Yeah, we got there Saturday morning, and we ended up hanging out, as we mentioned, looked around the venue and everything. But towards the end, I mean, we were there watching guys play on main stage, these feature groups. We were just walking around watching lots of Halo.
Right.
Towards the end of the night, it was like 8 or 9 o'clock, and they're starting up a big team battle game with Walshy versus Golden Boy. And we were like, all right, this, in my mind, I was like, this is going to be cheesy. I don't want to sit around till 11 o'clock watching a big team battle match. I was thinking we walk around, we leave the venue. We end up standing up, leaving our seats from main stage to go, like you said, go watch some Sentinels gameplay over in the losers bracket. And next thing we know, they're introducing like WWE stars, Hacks, Snipe Down came out and played, APG. There were lots of pros involved and lots of Ogre 2 ended up coming out. So as soon as we started seeing these guys come out, we had to go and
we had to find a seat.
Yep, watch this big team battle match, and it actually ended up being, like we said, another huge part of the event. That was super fun to watch. There was lots of content being made in that big team battle match.
Oh, 100%. We met some cool people who had some stuff in common with us too. So it was really cool seeing them, 2 days in a row. Every time we see, Proverbs and everything, where we hit him up. What's good, man? But one thing that kind of made me laugh and talk about Proverbs and stuff, because he actually joined my chat yesterday in my stream. So he popped in and we talked a little bit. I was playing a little bit of Halo, trying to get better, after watching all the pros. Because every time you watch pros, you always, you learn something. So I'm trying to take that to my gameplay. Still not the best, but I'm working my way up. But either way, does this ring a bell? You want me to tell the story, or do you want to tell the story about this wristlet going on? It says Raleigh 2021, but there's a story behind this wristlet.
The dumb little wristbands. When you enter the event, you got a wristband. That's your kind of like admission ticket. Yeah. We're sitting there watching main stage, watching Optic play. And I'm sitting there, and just kind of out of like anxiety and just like a little tick, I'm sitting there just making my wristband tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. Just while I'm anxiously watching these games go on. And while I'm sitting there making it tighter, I was expecting to eventually be able to like loosen it up and take the thing off or something whenever I was out of just focus of the game going on. But next thing I know, the game ends, and I'm sitting there looking at my wrist, and they've got like the Chinese what is it? The thing where you put a finger in each side.
The Chinese finger trap.
Yeah, the Chinese,
something like that, I guess.
Chinese handcuffs or whatever.
Yeah.
Called. You put a finger in each side and you're stuck. That's what's going on with that wristband. So I tightened it all the way on my wrist, and I ended up having to cut the thing. We both did, because that thing was just way too tight, and I couldn't loosen it all.
Yeah, I thought that was a funny part in this weekend, just one of them. But another cool story that I'll talk about is, so we got to watch Formal take out his organization that he's like with, Optic. He took out Optic in Game 5, Sentinels versus Optic, and sent Optic home, man. So
put up 20 points in a Slayer match.
In a Slayer match in Game 5, last game, no matter what, winner keeps going, loser has to go home. Well, Formal from Optic takes out Optic, and that's not the whole point, even though that was awesome and everything. But after Optic got eliminated, it was it was time for us to go home. We were trying to beat a little bit of traffic. We didn't want to get home at 2 a.m. But now, if Optic would have won that game, we probably wouldn't have been home till like 1 or 2 a.m. But since Optic did lose, we were walking out of the convention center and ran into the man himself who took out Optic. We saw Formal out there, taking a breather, just after he gave that speech saying, it's crazy that he's doing it for fun, but he got to take out Optic. He even said, go Optic at the end of his speech. And we got to congratulate him after just walking by him outside. He was with him and his girlfriend, and we got to say that. I think that was a really cool moment also, that we definitely had to talk about on this podcast, because looking back and recapping, that was definitely one of the top highlights in my head.
Definitely. Formal's a legend in the esports scene as a whole. Halo, Call of Duty, dude is a monster. And he sits there and he's playing against Optic on main stage. This is like one of the many storylines out of this whole weekend as far as the tournament goes. The guy's on main stage playing against Optic with Optic in his name. Optic Formal.
We're an Optic hat.
Beating Optic. Yeah, wearing an Optic hat with Optic in his name, beating up on Optic. I apologize about the dog. But he slays out, beats his team, and then since they took out our team, Optic, we decided to leave. Yeah. And leaving. There's Formal hitting his SIG, getting his nick in after the big match. Because normally he's got his dip on him playing, but I guess they couldn't dip in the arena. I had to get it somehow. But yeah, that was dope.
That was really cool. But anything, the one thing that I kind of want to add before we call it, I know we got some things to do. We're at 21 minutes, so at least we keep it under 30 if we can. But one thing I wanted to say is just, Halo is back. Halo is changing, I feel like, the whole competitive scene again, for the better good. I think they're taking the step in the right direction. They did it in the past. We've seen them do it back in Halo 3 and stuff. Whenever they kind of paved the way to MLG and all of this going on. And I still think they're taking the right steps into paving the path to make competitive esports even better. So I'm really excited that we got to see that the first major of Halo Infinite, and I really wasn't expecting anything, but if I even had expectations, it blew it out of the water, because that event would just, as a whole, I'll always remember that.
I'd like to elaborate on what you just said of how Halo's kind of always. You said Halo's back. Halo was they were kind of ahead of their time back in the day. Yeah. They were, when you had Final Boss and Instinct and Straight Rippin' and all these teams back in 07, 08, 09, during then, they were so far ahead of their time. These guys were playing tournaments for like $10,000, $20,000. And nowadays, if you had those guys in that same environment in today's world, they'd be making tons more money. But yeah, Halo kind of paved the way for esports today. Halo was the first one to really get these MLG events down good. And it sucked when it died off during Halo 4 and Halo 5. The events were dead. Halo's my favorite game of all time, and I didn't touch either of those games hardly, just because it wasn't even Halo. It didn't even feel like the game. And I saw an interesting tweet today, actually, about Halo Infinite. We were supposed to get it a year ago. I had built a computer strictly to play this game in preparation for this game. They ended up delaying this game a whole year, and initially everybody was just like, okay, it's going to end up being like another Halo 4, Halo 5, whatever. They're already delaying the game. We're going to get it. It's going to suck, blah, 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 blah. Honestly, that was one of the rare times that it was a good move for the developer. They delayed the game for a year, and generally you think that it's still going to come out unfinished, whatever. But they delayed the game, and there are a few issues here and there, but I mean, this game is polished. This game is incredible. The gameplay has brought everybody in the esports scene back to it. And if you look at Twitter, all you see is Halo is back. Halo is back. I mean, 343 definitely made the right move and not pushing it out early and a sucky product. They did what they needed to do, got it out the door.
Yeah, I agree. I think that 1 year wait, even though we wanted to play it and wanted to see it being played, definitely was the move because
Oh,
I really think they mastered it. And like you said, there's still a little kinks into it, but that's with every game. They'll smooth those over eventually. And yeah, I really hope Call of Duty takes notes. Obviously, we've seen people like Nade Shot and Optic Hex and other pros, Scump. We're actually watching Scump's stream on the way home from the event, and all of those guys, want Call of Duty to be that hype and be back to where Call of Duty was great as well. So, I really hope, and I really think that Halo is doing that right now. They're taking that step forward so everyone else can follow, yeah, and keep this competitiveness on on record. So
it's exciting time to be a esports fan, especially a Halo fan.
yeah,
If you've ever touched Halo and enjoyed the game and have a appreciation for it, now's the time to get back into it because
yeah,
it is definitely back. The game is in a great spot, and we still got a year ahead of us of this first I guess they're calling them seasons because this game's going to be around for a
yeah.
while. So the first year is the first season of the HCS. Exciting times.
Yeah, no excuses. It's free game, guys. Download it. Multiplayer's free. Get on there and go ahead and get better. Play some Slayer, play some ranked, and enjoy the game.
And get
I
out
mean,
to an
it's
HCS event.
and definitely do that. I recommend it highly. We're definitely gonna have to go back, but I appreciate you helping me recap this weekend. Hopefully, we can do this in the next event that we go to. Like I said, man, blew out expectations. I didn't have any, but if I did, it was great. So, anything else that you want to add on to before we call it a podcast?
I think we hit pretty much everything. The one point I wanted to make was that delayed the game. Like I said, I think that was just a really
Yeah.
interesting thing. They I'm glad they did that and it paid off. But yeah, no, Halo is back, everybody.
That's it, guys. You heard the man. yBobby? Again, I'm glad you came back on the show. This is the first reoccurrence we had. So glad to have you back. And like you said, Halo's back, guys. Well, we'll see you guys in the next episode. We'll see you guys later.
Peace.